Out of every era in NBA history, this might just be the best time to be an NBA fan. With the amount of exciting new stars and all-time legends all in the same league, and the sheer amount of skill that these players possess makes the game very entertaining today. But somehow, the NBA is in one of the worst spots it's been in for a while. Ratings are at historical lows, and fans are losing interest in the NBA as a whole. But why? With the NBA being as stacked as it is, how could this possibly translate into fans not wanting to watch the game? Well, I think I may have the answer, and it may not be what you expect. This has been a big discussion over the past year as people have noticed ratings for things like the All-Star Game and the NBA Finals and these past Christmas Day games are all down when it comes to viewership. The league is still doing very good numbers, but comparatively to past years, it's not looking too good. There's a lot of different reasons that analysts and fans are throwing out there for why the league could be losing viewership, from the amount of three-pointers that players are taking and a lot of the new changes that Adam Silver has been implementing. But I would say the biggest problem that the NBA has right now is the battle between the old era and the new era. This isn't anything new. In the past, this transition between old and new NBA stars has always been a thing. Like when the NBA went from being led by Kareem to Magic and Bird, and then when Jordan came in and took the league over from both of them. Then Jordan got old and Kobe fought to take his place. LeBron and Kobe led the league for years until Kobe got old, and then Steph Curry became the new face alongside LeBron. And these two have remained the faces of the league for almost a decade now. On this past Christmas Day, LeBron and Curry were matched up against each other, and it was easily the most watched and most exciting Christmas Day game. It felt like vintage 2016 basketball for a second. It was a super down-to-the-wire close game, and in 2024, we really got to hear blocked by James and a Steph Curry bang one more time.
By Wiggins, under a minute remaining. Wiggins drives, goes right at Reeves, layup blocked by James! Curry gets free, Curry puts up a three, bang! Bang! He ties the game with 6.3 remaining!
The game was electric, and it really made me appreciate this era of basketball. But when you think about it, it's probably not a good thing that this is still the biggest game that the NBA can put on right now. On this same day, we had the Spurs vs Knicks game, where the most exciting new star in the league, Victor Wembanyama, dropped 42 points and 18 rebounds. And even though the Spurs aren't the most exciting team, they've also got Chris Paul alongside them. And the Knicks are a very exciting team. Jalen Brunson is another player who's really starting to break out as a superstar, and they got Karl Anthony Towns now. But it seemed like nobody was talking about this game at all. And they had the Timberwolves versus the Mavericks, the Western Conference Finals rematch. Anthony Edwards and Luka Doncic going head to head when both of these guys are looking like they're going to be the new faces of the league. But again, the Western Conference Finals rematch was overlooked by two teams that didn't make it past the first round. Now, of course, I understand why. LeBron and Curry have already cemented themselves as two of the greatest players ever, and their rivalry was historic. But someday soon, before we know it, LeBron and Curry are gonna be retired. And the real question is, who's gonna take their spot when they're gone? Like I said before, this transition between the old and new faces of the league is not anything new, but it seems like more than usual, everybody's very uncertain on who the next face is gonna be. If you go strictly off accolades and statistics, Nikola Jokic should probably already be the new face of the NBA. He's won 3 of the last 4 MVPs and probably deserved it to win it in 2023 over Embiid. And he's already won a NBA championship and finals MVP. The only problem is, to the casual fan, Nikola Jokic is a very boring player. His playstyle is very effective, but it does come off as him just looking slow and just boring. And his media presence doesn't really help his case. In most of his interviews, you question if the guy even likes playing basketball. He's always just so monotone and slow moving, and it's made people really not enjoy watching him play. And on the complete opposite end of the spectrum is the guy that just eliminated Jokic from these past playoffs, Anthony Edwards. And out of everybody I've mentioned so far, Ant is who most people believe could be the new face of the NBA. When it comes to his play style in general, he is one of the most entertaining players to watch today. He really reminds you of a young Kobe Bryant or a Michael Jordan when he's dunking on people. He's also got a solid three-point game, and he takes the defensive side of the ball very seriously, even calling out Kyrie Irving before the conference finals matchup and saying he'd be guarding him.
It's gonna be fun, man. You know, my matchup gonna be Kyrie, so that's gonna be fun. We're gonna see what I can do versus him.
And while this didn't end up going Ant's way, it's still a part of what makes everybody love Anthony Edwards. And his competitiveness and trash talk is what the NBA needs right now. His playoff run with the Wolves this past season was easily the most entertaining part of the entire playoffs. From the first round, Ant dropping off his idol Kevin Durant and talking trash to him, to them playing against the defending champion Nuggets and being completely written off, and the series going to a very entertaining 7 games and the Timberwolves pulling off the victory. Things weren't as exciting in the series versus the Mavericks, but those 2 series really woke up the league to Anthony Edwards and instantly made him a fan favorite. And then of course, there's Victor Wembanyama, who I still cannot believe is doing the things he's doing. Wemby is 7'4", dribbling around and pulling up for threes like a guard, and he's one of the best defenders in the NBA. It seems like he keeps having these high scoring, rebound and block games, and there's no telling how good Wemby is going to get in the next 5 years. His potential is ridiculously high, and if you had to place a bet on who could really take over the league in the next couple years, Wemby might be the top pick. But the craziest part is, there are multiple players that you can put into this discussion that could become the new face of basketball. SGA has been playing at a MVP level for a couple seasons now. Luka Doncic is debatably the best player in the world and just almost won a championship, and across the league there's just so much talent. But maybe it's not the players that's driving fans away from watching the games, but rather the way that they're playing. There's a lot of differences between this era of basketball and eras of the past, the biggest being the amount of 3-pointers that teams are taking now. And while yes, watching people like Steph Curry hit crazy threes is very entertaining, and people as tall as Wemby pulling up for threes is still a sight to see, this style of NBA basketball is getting very boring to most NBA fans. And the worst part is, there's not much the NBA could do to fix this problem. It took a while, but coaches and teams are coming to a realization that 3 is more than 2. After a while, these points add up, and there's no reason to take any shots in the mid-range anymore when you can just take a couple steps back and get that extra point. Obviously, teams are still scoring in the paint a lot, but even the centers whose job it used to be to score in the paint and set screens for their team, now they have to know how to shoot threes. For a while, this style of play seemed like it'd never be able to translate into winning, but after that Golden State Warriors dynasty dominated for that long a time by being a great 3-point shooting team, now the whole league is like this. We are literally seeing teams break records for shooting the most threes in history, and it's not slowing down anytime soon. And at the rate it's going right now, teams are going to be taking more 3s than 2s in a couple years. And while you can make the argument that the league is just getting better and learning the most optimal way to win games, it's made it much more boring. So as far as what the NBA can do about this, I'm really not sure. You can't really force a superstar overnight to take over Steph Curry and LeBron James. You can't tell teams to just stop taking less 3s because, well, you just can't, I don't know. And you can't change the era that we're in right now. Pretty much anything long form is losing viewers in this era. People are watching less movies, shows, and pretty much anything that's long form because our attention spans are terrible. But from what I've seen, the love that people have for basketball and the NBA is still there. The NBA isn't going anywhere anytime soon, and even though it may look concerning now, the league is in good hands. We have generational athletes that are going to keep the NBA entertaining and exciting over the next 10 years at least. As far as who's going to be that next LeBron James or Steph Curry, that's still up in the air. But that's what makes this era of the NBA so fun, the fact that we get to wait and see. I'm telling you now, the NBA is going through a very big shift, and if you're a fan of the NBA, you're about to watch history unfold right in front of your eyes. What that means for right now, I'm not sure, but I'm excited to find out.